Okay, so we made it to the Pez Doctor's house. They're decorated for Halloween. Very lovely. Why are you guys at the Pez Doctor's house? Well, I have some stomach ache issues, as you can see, and my head is killing me. I have this weird rash. We'll see if the doctor can help me. The doctor himself answers the door. Where's your receptionist? I'm already inside. Let's run down to the Pez Doctor's lair. Can we do that? All right, cool. If anybody's ever wondering what the Pez Doctor, what his actual collection looks like, we'll do a quick walk through here.
This is it.
Well, here's the secret lab. This is where all the magic happens. We'll get into that in a minute though.
There's all the parts.
Tons of parts. And you know my name, of course.
And we're
Nice.
back here.
What parts?
But, yeah.
Oh yeah, tons of parts.
This is just what's out here.
Where's your favorite? You like pals?
Oh yeah, as you can see.
A couple pals.
Yeah. I'm really not into the Pez Pops, but since they came out with pals,
There you go.
the things I'm mostly proud of, thanks to Sean, he forwarded the information to me of the original Pez train from the 70s. Here's the article in German, and the original train. When the Pez train boxcars came out, I decided to do a display in both HO scale and N scale, and that's how that turned out.
Those looks pretty cool.
On my trucks.
You got all of those M2s that came
I've
out?
got all those, yes.
Wow.
Matter of fact, the only M2s I don't have right now are the ones that just came out. All the chases and all the regular ones.
Cool. Yeah, we got some fun ads here.
This is the original ad for the boats, the game.
Oh, look at that OD green in cello. Nice.
I only collect certain things, I don't collect everything.
Uh-huh.
Basically what I like is what I collect.
You got any Mahas? Do you have any? I don't know.
That's what I have displayed.
You have more than this?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, as you see, I'm running out of room, so I'm particular about which ones I put out.
Nice. What's like your favorite or rarest or whatever Maha we got, since we clearly have a few.
Which would be the dark green with the
That one up there?
orange face.
Is that a Spain one or something?
No, no.
No, obviously not.
Okay.
A few animals, okay. Quite a few. I see some more Pop Pez crept into the picture up
Well, that was Robin.
there. Okay, Robin's the Pop Pez collector.
And actually, she won this in a contest.
Oh, very nice.
I would have never gotten it, but
He's cute. Why not?
yeah.
We got a couple lions and some cows. Look at those colors on those Crocs. Well, this is bonus and extra, guys. We weren't even planning on doing a tour of his awesome things,
And my ponies,
but
which are one of my
we're
all-time
doing that
favorites.
too. All right, what's down here?
Let me take the dagger out.
You got it. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, my father was in World War II. That was one of the souvenirs he got.
All right. Got some.
These are all the rarest ones. I don't know if anybody has seen any of these before. They're pretty rare. These are pandas, which I usually don't collect, but as you can tell, they come with red inner sleeves, and it's marbleized. Let me, you can see it through there. Stem's marbleized and blank. And here's the next variation of it. Same thing, only it's got a patent number on it. This one right here. This is the orange inner sleeve on this one. And Mr. Mystic.
Tell me about Mr. Mystic.
You want to know?
I haven't seen one like this before, except in your collection. I know they exist, but
Well, a lot of one of the neat things about Mr. Mystic is a ringmaster hat, even though it looks the same, it's not the same. The peg is on the back of it. Oh. Maybe I can take this out and show you.
don't worry if he breaks it. He's the doctor.
Where a typical ringmaster hat, the peg's in the middle.
There you go. Now you'll know.
That fits the hole behind the peg.
All right, cool. Mr. Pez Doctor needs to know all these things because, as we'll go over in a little bit, he also does all these cool repairs. Got some full body robots there.
Yeah, I've started
A couple
collecting
different cool
robots
colors.
lately.
You gotta do something to get through this pandemic, right?
Yeah. Well, this is my monsters, Mr. Uglies.
Well, it's Halloween
witches.
time. When we're recording this, it hasn't been Halloween yet.
No, not
It'll
yet.
be right after Halloween when we air it.
And these are pretty interesting. You have a normal Wolfman with the pin, and then you have the plastic variation. As you notice, both stones are marbleized. I had Frankenstein the same way.
Very cool.
And my Indian Chiefs,
Nice.
my clowns.
Few clowns and some.
And Jim Blaine made these Pez bride and grooms for us. And these are a few things from Brian's thing.
Cool.
These are our autograph Pez. We went to a John Waters show and had him autograph several of the Pink Flamingos. I don't know if anybody's familiar with John Waters, if you live in Baltimore, you are. But he does movies like Cry Baby and ones like that. Pretty interesting if you ever have a chance to look them up. That Pez boy is a Keith Sutherland signed one.
Stand by me.
Stand by me.
What's the? Is this like a negative of?
Yes, that's a
Pez?
negative of Pez candy.
Wow, I've never seen one of those. That's cool. Cool way to display it on glass too.
And just a few things.
Tell me about those marbles.
Marbles. My son Wesley got those for me about 7-8 years ago.
Did this company made, fan made? Do we know?
I'm not sure.
I've never seen them. They're cool.
There are some around. And a few other Pez items down here.
I've never seen that Pez baseball dispenser. Is that like a billfold?
I think it's a cigarette case, to tell you the truth.
Ironically enough.
I even figure out how to work it.
Huh.
Pretty
That's
cool.
shiny. Yeah, that's really neat. And then some more of Dave's beloved trucks.
Oh,
I like this Schmidt trucking one.
as most people know that know me, I used to own a trucking company for 40 years. So trucks are my passion, really. This was done by Jim Williams, who...
One of those light up ones?
Yep.
Very exciting. Very cool.
Now I do have one coming that has the marker lights on it and all that, but I don't know.
I don't know how he does that. That's pretty
Me
cool.
either. I don't have the patience. But
Very cool.
and the various Lounge Lizard trucks and
Great
Michigan
collection
Pez
of them,
conventions and several convention trucks. I do have my first Mexican truck coming. It hasn't got here yet.
Oh, that's cool.
It's only been a month, but
That's
you know how the mail's been lately.
Mail's been nuts.
Just
All
A's,
right.
B's, and C's.
Very cool.
Some of these A's and B's I've had since I was 5, 6 years old. My father got for me when he was out on the road.
You find any teeth marks on them from when you were a
Nope.
kid?
Didn't do that. Took care of my toys.
All right, that's cool.
Because you didn't get any more. But he always wanted to bring something back, and a normal Pez dispenser You know how that is. But trucks, the whole family was all truck drivers and everything, so they seemed appropriate.
All right, so here's the tackle box from the Pez Doctor. We'll get into some of that in a minute.
What will I use most?
You know what that is? If you're from Maryland, you do. That's the secret for the Pez Doctor. And then I'm going with this must be an X-Acto. I can get it off without hurting myself. Oh no, there's other blades stuck in there.
Well, there's various tools for various applications.
It's like he's a doctor or something. Interesting. I feel like I'm going to the dentist a little bit.
Well, these I got and basically made to get into when you got to pull with the particularly these regulars with the pins. I designed these to, because you don't have a whole lot of room with these at all. This, of course, the inner sleeve's broke, as you can see.
Yeah, you're good.
But these I've designed to be able to get in under, depending on how much room I have. That's why they're different sizes. To get under here, to grab the spring, to pull it back through.
A series of questions I'm going to ask the Pez Doctor. So, how did you get into collecting to start? You talked a little bit about your father earlier.
Right. Well, my father brought me Pez trucks back, and I stored them in the attic for years and years and years. Basically, when I became a teenager, and when I met Robin back in 1991, we got together. We got married. The first Easter we were together, she bought me a D truck and put it in my Easter basket. Basically, at the same time, we had owned our first computer, which was Web TV. And I just happened to go online and look it up. And next thing I know, I started collecting them. And
so we're in 1991 at this point.
Right. Well, I couldn't afford at the time. Well, I could afford it, but I wasn't going to pay the prices that they were asking for the ones that I actually really liked. So I started buying up busted ones and parts lots. Over the years, I developed a knack for putting together, repairing them, and I discovered that I could get the Pez that I wanted to get with very little money.
That's the secret.
So when I started doing that, of course the word got around that I was repairing, and other people that couldn't afford what they wanted started doing the same thing.
Okay. So how did you first get the name Pez Doctor?
That was given to me by, I believe it was Rick Marlowe, who first called me Pez Doctor.
All right, I can see that.
And it just,
Well,
I've known Rick and Richie and all those for ever since the 90s. So a couple other people that aren't really into it anymore have dropped out. Red Conroy, people like that. I don't mean to drop names or anything, but
No, but so you're talking like 30 years of history and friendship.
Yeah. John Ospina, he's one of the ones I met at first, and John's great. He's always been there. He's always helped. Any questions? Sean Peters, when he came along, he wasn't even in. I believe he was a teenager. Matter of fact, and you're talking. My kids were 4 and 5 years old when we started, and now they're 25 and 26. So, and I got out of it for a while. Started playing music. Started traveling. So I really stopped doing Pez. I didn't have the time, and I was in Mexico, and discovered a box of Mexican Pez for sale for practically nothing. Brought that home with me.
It's a gold mine.
Actually put that away, and I decided to dig it out one day, and we've been back into it now about 5 or 6 years. I had sold most of my collection in '94. I held on to the truck, stuff like that, a few other things. So basically what you see downstairs is what I've done in the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
I've been able to. Well, now I can afford it.
So I think I met you maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
And
When we first got back into it.
Okay.
But now that I'm retired and everything, it's basically a way of life now.
Yeah. So I brought with me 2 different Pez dispensers. This one here is a fat ear bunny who's come to see the doctor. He's got some pretty nasty scars and rashes. So we're going to put that guy is somebody we can play with. And then this one is actually one you made for me. You made it out of a Santa, put a new stem on it, I'm guessing maybe a skull or something, and then used the gumball machine.
It took a long time. Actually, I went to the company that supplies the gumball machines to get those helmets because I could not find the right size. They were either too big or too small.
Right. So let's go a little bit on Pez anatomy. Can you break down a typical Pez dispenser? You can use one of these or one of the ones you got laying there.
All right. Well, this is a plastic hinge pumpkin that I'm going to take apart for you.
All right.
So I can demonstrate how to do this and put it back together.
Okay. So what kind of different stems are there?
Too many to list. I guess the most common is Austria, various different characters and everything. Then you get into the Yugos, the Hong Kongs, and I don't have any examples of Spain or Brazil. They're in my collection, and I don't touch them. I straighten them every now and then, but I don't put my hands on them just in case.
So that's the outer sleeve, right? And then there's an inner sleeve I've heard people talk about.
Right, this is a wire head inner sleeve. The spring goes right in that slot, which goes into that slot, which when you, and this is a wire spring candy pusher. Springs, candy pushers, springs, candy buttons, not all of them are the same. Even the internal springs are different. These are head springs. The first one you have there is from an older Pez.
You have to focus on it.
And this one right here is from a newer one. You can see the different size of them.
Yeah. They're teeny weeny.
Well, the smaller one, that's for the pin to go through. See, it slides right in the slot. And that's what it looks like from that side. This little slide here is where the spring goes through. Now, if it's a tight fit, some of them are loose, some of them are tight. If it's a tight fit, I usually put a little bit of Vaseline on the end of the pivot knobs, just to make it easier for the head to slide on. And this is a metal spring head. You see the slot on the candy pusher, as opposed to a plastic hinge, which is basically smooth. Okay? And what I like to do is, and this can get tricky, if it is successful, it's a lot harder than it looks. I'll take, with the candy pusher, push the spring back, get it in the slot, slide it on. And this is the plastic one. Usually these aren't really a tight fit, but as you see, the plastic hinge head, and the same thing. The only difference is this time you get that little piece of plastic there that goes on the actual hinge.
Right, so can you tell me a little bit about spring types, maybe on the inside? Are there multiple types of inner sleeve springs?
Yes. This is from a metal pin, and you see how small it is. And over time they get bent, and these are from a newer. This is for a newer Pez. You see the difference in the size of them.
Mm-hmm. So this is the newer one.
And And there's specific
The
springs.
older one.
There's specific springs that go with specific dispensers. Just like there's specific candy buttons that go with specific dispensers. Not all will fit in. A lot of people make a mistake. They get parts and they try to put them together. They don't go together, and they'll never do it. You end up either cracking the stem, cracking the inner sleeve.
Putting stress where it shouldn't be, yeah.
Right. And this has all been learned from trial and error over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Don't use anything sharp so it doesn't scratch it. I use a shish kebab stick made out of wood, so you don't have to worry about scratching it. You take, I like to open it up. You take the back side of the candy pusher with the stick, and you press it down. You see what it did.
Bring this in a little bit. All right. Yep. You push
Pick it
the
up.
candy button down.
Bring it up.
And then you're able to pull it up.
Take it out. Well, this has a little plastic lip on the bottom, so right there. But it comes out. A lot of times they shoot across the room. I've got it in the eye, and people that know me know that sometimes I have problems. As far as the head coming off, what I use is, where's that? There it is. As Scott said, if you're from Maryland, you know what this is. But I use it to,
It's a crab picking tool.
I use it to get in between the head and the inner sleeve. Just so it,
You're able to pop off.
and slowly take it off. Boom. Put it back on. Let me go back to,
So we're putting the candy button back in with the shish kebab skewer.
get up underneath it there, push it down in the back. And sometimes all you have to do is lift up and it'll go in place. Other times it could be a real bear. But what I like to do is I like to put tension on the front and the back. Not too hard, but just enough for it so it doesn't slip back out. See it?
All right.
Then take it. And boom.
Give it a push down and it clicks into place, huh?
Now these are the easy ones. The pins, it would take too long because there's a process in this. You have to set the spring. Of course, this is broke, but the spring, normally it's just a hole there. You have to put the spring into the hole. And what I like to do is I like to put a little tiny, teeny bit of what do they call it? The Elmer's glue. It's not glue. It's the stick stuff that wipes off.
Yeah. Glue stick.
Right. I'll put that, a little bit of that in the hole to hold the spring in place.
Okay.
Then I'll put the pin through till that sets. Take the pin out, put the head on, put the pin through, and that's when I use these particular tools here to get up underneath and grab the spring and pull it through.
All right. Can you tell us about most common repair?
This one right here, what I just showed you.
And what was it? What would the issue have been?
Well, the most common repair is floppy heads,
Okay.
which means if there's nothing wrong with the inner sleeve, over the years and over the manipulating it, this hinge right here will get bent down.
Okay.
That's when you'll have sloppy head.
This part here
Right.
will get like just too much pressure on it over time.
Right.
Okay.
A lot of times when people sell stuff, they hold it upside down to show you how far it is.
Uh-huh.
See, this is very minimal.
Right. So what can be done to help fix that? Is it a replacing of something?
Well, if the inner sleeve is still okay, then really the only thing you have to do is get the hinge back to normal.
Okay.
What I find is the easiest and the safest. I'll boil some water and I'll put it in a shot glass. Let me take this head off again. What want to do is you want to go upside down with it so the water doesn't run down in and rust the springs and all. Set this down into the hot water. I usually count to about 20. That's long enough to get the plastic a little pliable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll take and slowly pull this hinge up.
Until it kind of gets to the spot.
Hold it in place. When it cools off, stays there. Put the head back on, you're good to go.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about stem swapping.
Okay.
Someone comes to you and says, I have this dispenser, and so it's got some issues in the front here. I want a new stem on it.
All right.
Besides that, why else would people come to you and say, I want a different stem on this?
Well, some people try to, little underhandedly, I've been approached many times about putting something on that isn't supposed to be on, so I will absolutely tell them from the get-go, I do not do that. If there's a question if this particular stem is the correct one, and I really don't know for sure, I will research it until I find out. A lot of times I'll get a hold of John Laspina. The big collectors, such as John Laspina, they'll have examples already, and he'll give me the information and I'll go from there.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I will not do and have not done is put dispensers together it's not supposed to be. Now,
So if you're getting one from Dave, he's gone by the book. Speaking of the book, I know there's at least one book that you would look at to find out stem information on.
well, the earlier ones, which is David Welch's book.
There's an index in the back, right?
Yes, but it gives you a certain amount of information, but not quite as into it as I have to get to find out certain things.
Okay.
I mean, they'll and some of the information in there is not complete. Now Jeff's new books with Pez Pals, that's pretty complete. Even though
Jeff Rosenberg has a
Right.
couple of books out. Yep.
But just like anything else, there may be something that comes along the way that isn't in the books, and it's up in the air if that's a legitimate dispenser or somebody had switched it or what have you. You really don't know until you actually see it in the cello or card or whatever. And
So until you see it maybe in an original packaging,
Right.
then you might know that it was real.
but I'm always with the philosophy that they were made to change parts around as far as the Pez Pals and all goes. So if you put a mustache on something that doesn't come with a mustache and cello, that's up to the collector. That's what they were made for, to be able to switch them around.
Let's remember, these are kids' play toys.
Right. There's now you're talking melt marks and all. I have several things I use for that.
Okay.
I brought this along. This is one that had, see the melt marks on this one? This one was even worse. I've got it to the stage now where
So it was similar to this, and he's gotten it to.
I've gotten to where it's smooth all the way around. That's very time
He
consuming.
works magic. But you can see maybe the finish is a little different on it now, right?
And
Maybe
I
it's a
had
little
various. I had various sandpapers and this that I use. These right here are for wet sanding.
Doctor has many tools.
I'm at the end stage with this, so I used a fine. This is a 3000, and what I do is I don't have any more out here, so excuse me. I'll just work it and work it and work it till it is actually. And you want to, if you try this, you don't want to go down and change the plastic as far as flat spots, round spots. You want to be very careful with that because certain sandpapers can knock this plastic off like that.
So this is a high level of expertise, like surgery kind of
All right.
situation we're doing here.
Now, I like to use this handheld. This is for manicurists.
Okay.
I like to use the handheld one, but I do have one.
Is this a Dremel?
This is a handheld one.
Okay.
This is also a handheld one, but this one has different speeds. So this is, you can super shine something. Now you don't want to shine something that doesn't normally.
This is left to the professionals, I think, at this point.
Some people say,
think
oh, well.
Somebody putting on a head or not, maybe we could do that on our own, but we get to this point and it's a little crazy.
So what I will do is I have some various things that I've made. And you can find these kits in any Walmart or beauty supply store, because that's what they are. They're made to do nails.
Or buffing nails normally,
And
or toes or
whatever.
something. While he's looking at that, I will say we have with us some more Schmidts. We're meeting here with all the Schmidts. You guys can come in if you want.
And here's the various polishes and cleaners. And
So why would you need a polisher or cleaner?
well, when you get it down to this stage, you'll see all the
It's mad scientist stuff going on here.
all the shininess is off of it and everything. So you want to get it back to
We'll
something
put
like this.
Some luster back on.
So these I had to make to fit this. So I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. But that is,
Can't see that. It's spinning
it's the lowest,
700 million revolutions per second.
and that's the lowest one.
Oh, it goes.
That's the even though this is a buffing pad, at this speed, it'll burn right through the plastic. So you have to be very careful.
Oh, world's smallest machine floor butter.
That's why I like to use this, because it's got one speed. At this stage, the only thing left is to get the shine back on it, which is
Now, do we want to know what that secret formula is?
actually, I invented this, but it's different. You got to be very careful when it comes to chemicals. Put a little bit of polish
You
on
can
it.
only get this in Dave's backyard.
Very, very time consuming. I probably have, in this particular head, I probably have 3 hours in it right now. And it's going to be at least another hour before I can polish it. But you get the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
It slowly comes back.
All right, so two more things here. We'll take a look at this
It's a little
guy.
shiny now, it's getting there.
Yeah, you see the shine factor. Focus on that. Much different than where we started, where it was pretty dull. But that all started looking like this kind of situation.
The main thing is, if you want to try it on your own, the main thing is to gather some parts that you really don't care about. I try to use stuff that's broke, or like this one, for instance, had the broken inner sleeve, so it was no big deal. You want to start there, and then you just want to basically play with it. Try different things. Chemicals you don't want to use on anything is anything with acetone. You do not want to use that. That will melt the plastic. I had a Mickey head one time that had a pin in it that was no way it was coming out, and I ended up, last resort, I put a little bit of acetone to try to break the rust up, and it just disintegrated the head. And this one right here, it's got a melt mark, and that's another thing. Melt marks on the clear edges, fine. You can usually work them, get them out. If not completely, they look 100% better. Now, when they're on places like the letters or in this shaded area, not so much. You're always going to be able to see it. And melt marks are funny, because melt marks where this one is really super deep, you'll never get it out completely unless you take it and skim off what is sticking out. The trick is, which is something you learn over time, is to get it down far enough where it looks good, but not too far is where you can see it.
You can see that there's a
It's
dent in
been,
there. Yeah.
right. Not everything is repairable,
Right.
but if nothing else, I'll be able to get it to look a lot better than it was.
Need to know from the Pez Doctor.
No, just anybody has any questions, my email, my profile's out there, whatever, just don't hesitate to ask. I'll be glad to let you know.
There's two Dave Schmidts. Which one are you?
Pez Doctor.
Is there something identifiable on your profile that we would see over the other Dave Schmidt?
Actually, the profile picture is when we were at Pennsylvania a few years back, and I was doing repairs on a table.
Dave Schmidt in the center, Robin on your left, and then Molly. Molly is an apprentice to Dave. That's what I've been told. She's working on the repairs too. What kind of repairs have you worked on, Molly?
So far, I've just changed heads on the dispensers. I haven't done any of like the other stuff yet, but I'm learning. So.
She hasn't really gotten to the mount marks or anything like that yet.
Is there anything? We have a Pez enabler on the left-hand side of the screen. Can you tell us anything from a Pez enabler's perspective about Pez heads?
They're great people. They're fun. They enjoy the hobby. And nice to be around.
All right. We have any other words of wisdom for Pez heads out there?
Keep your eyes open.
Always find something, right?
Yep. And everybody always helps everybody else. Like if we get stuff in this part of the country, try to help and give it to the people in West Coast and
Yep.
vice
Same
versa.
with the people overseas.
Yep.
They get stuff and we get stuff.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.